somewhat relevant to my interests. The Indiana law that lets citizens shoot cops. I, I desire to know more. The Hoosier state law now allows people to use deadly force to keep public servants from illegally entering their homes or cars. Police, of course, are not pleased. The police are not pleased about not being able to break the law. Strange. Police officers in Indiana are speaking out against a new law that gives citizens the right to use deadly force to protect themselves against a public servant who oversteps his authority, which I believe is a completely justifiable thing. If a police officer chooses to act outside the law and then becomes a threat to your person or property, you have a natural right to defend yourself and your property, using any force up to and including lethal force if the situation requires it. And since it's a cop with a gun, it probably will require it. Tim Downs, president of the Indiana State Fraternal Order of Police, Interesting. Says the law, signed in March by Governor Mitchell Daniels, but only now getting national attention, might give people the impression that they can shoot police with impunity. No, I don't think any reasonable person at least would believe that. You can't just see two cops in the street and go, "Ah, nice, a freebie, bang bang." Like, no, you can't do that. It's just a recipe for disaster, he tells Bloomberg. Here, a brief guide to this controversial legislation. What exactly does the law say? It authorises people to protect themselves or their property by using deadly force in response to unlawful intrusion by a public servant. In other words, the police trying to barge into your house without a warrant, all these other wonderful things that the police do all the fucking time. The measure is essentially just a public servant specific amendment to the state's 2006 so-called Castle Doctrine bill. Fucking wish we had Castle Doctrine here in Britain. Instead, what the police tell you to do is lock yourself in a room and call them, where they'll be there in about 3 hours. By that point, your family and you and everybody else are probably dead. Because if you attack any home invaders, you're just as likely to go to prison. This is what happens when the police have the monopoly on defence and they are very, very bad at their job. Because that's how taxis work. If you can force people to pay you, it doesn't matter. You don't need to give a good service. They have to pay you. In fact, they'll go to jail if you don't. Which allows people to do whatever they have to stop someone from illegally entering a home or car. Indiana is reportedly the first state to specifically allow the use of force against police. The new rule was passed with a nudge from the National Rifle Association, which has pushed permissive gun laws around the country. Why did Indiana push this law? Because it's based... The state Supreme Court had previously ruled that citizens had no legal right to resist police officers. I mean... I think we do, especially when you've done absolutely fuck all wrong, even in a case of unlawful entry. So even when the police are wanting to infringe upon your rights and the police are breaking the law, you're not allowed to stop them. And when the police are allowed to break the law, yeah, guess what kind of state you live in. So before this new law was passed, explains Republican State Senator Michael Young, people had no legal right to protect themselves from abuse at the hands of authorities. Indeed, he says, a homeowner could do nothing in the hypothetical case in which he returned home to find a police officer raping his wife other than filing a lawsuit later. Fucking hell. I mean, yeah. Is this really necessary? Those who know. Not according to law enforcement officials, because of course, that's kind of like this is the fox advocating against stronger chicken wire. Like you don't really need the stronger chicken wire or like the bits under the ground that prevent us from digging. Like you don't really need those. Like your chickens are fine. They're safe. Who lobbied against the bill? They say it's wholly unnecessary, as Indiana was not exactly being marauded by rogue cops. Everywhere is being marauded by rogue cops. Some just more than others. And now anyone who's drunk or distraught might think he has a legal right to shoot a police officer in a dispute. It just puts a bounty on our heads, Downs tells Bloomberg. No, it doesn't. They don't get paid anything. Sergeant Joseph Hubbard, for one, says he now worries that every time he pulls over a car, the driver might shoot him and cite the law as justification. Somebody is going to get away with killing a cop because of this law. Well, it depends. Did you justifiably pull him over? Was there a specific actual law that he broke that let you pull him over? The guy that went into that house, do you have a justifiable legal reason to go into that fucking house? Because I mean, if the person's a criminal, they're probably just going to open fire on you anyway. But now, see, instead of you busting into somebody's fucking door and flashbanging their fucking baby, which you've fucking done, right? They now get to defend themselves. In other words, this just to me seems like a lot of you are going, oh, we can't be cunts anymore. We can't. Oh, I really like flashbanging babies. Oh, I love flashbanging babies. I love busting into the wrong house and shooting the dad in front of the kids and going, oh, sorry, wrong address, file a complaint before I ride off into the sunset. Like, nah, sorry, people have a right to defend themselves, even against cops. Was that the end of the article? Was that it? Okay. So now the wee chat that we like to have at the end. Right. You have an inalienable right to defend yourself and your property from molestation, violence, thievery, etc., blah, blah, blah. Right? I think that if someone comes up to you in the street and is attacking you, they know the rules, and so do I. Like, I'm just saying, if people want to engage in an act of tomfoolery, then they should discover some new information, right? That's all I'm saying. If in this case, people that are just going to shoot us, do you know how that stops? You don't do stuff like that. You see a person in the street, don't attack them. You see a house you're not supposed to be in, don't go in there. Don't go in there. Don't throw a punch at someone. Don't fight anyone. Don't steal something that's not yours. If you're a police officer, if you don't have a warrant, you don't have a fucking warrant, right? If you don't have probable cause or any reason to be pulling this person over or stopping them in the street or fucking barging into someone's house and all that, then you just don't do it. The thing you were supposed to be doing before. And I've experienced this. I've had fucking first-hand experience of this. Police officers were being a little bit untoward with a person. Basically, there was a fight getting broken up in Coatbridge Main Street. A fight was getting broken up. The police officers were very heavy-handed, as they very often are. The guy was on the ground, he wasn't resisting, and they were fucking punching him in the head and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, the ultimate end result of that is nothing at all happened to them, because that's just what happens. The police can kick the fucking shit out of you, and all they have to do is say you were resisting, and they just get away with it. It's very, very rare that police actually get in trouble for the laws they break, funnily enough. And I was vocal about it. I was very, very vocal. A police officer got in my face. I laughed at him and said, what you gonna do? Like, what you gonna do? Because he got in my face. He was a lot shorter than me. And I just laughed. This little, hey, if you don't shut your mouth, shut me, man. Oh, man, I just laughed at him. He then said he made a threat at him because I said, what you going to do? As police officers do. See, when they don't have a reason to arrest you, they'll make one up. Another risk from the police. By the way, a lot of people don't realise how much risk you're under from the cops. The cops are dangerous. Interacting with the cops, even just speaking in front of them, it's fucking dangerous. It's really dangerous. Don't go near them, don't talk to them. But because of that, I get fucking cuffed and arrested. They wanted to search me. I says, I don't consent to the search. They were like, you're going to have to let us search you. And the wee clever thing that you can do is you do need to let them search you. You can't resist. But if you say repeatedly, I don't consent to the search, I don't consent to the search, they have to write all of that down. Or sometimes they'll omit that. They did in my case. They just didn't write it down. Or he said it was fine for us to search him. No, I didn't. I put in a complaint. This was 17 years ago. I've never heard a thing back. The complaints just go in the bin. And I get taken into a cell and they said, oh, you're on drugs. I went, I'm not on drugs. And I wasn't. I actually wasn't. I had a few beers. I had a few beers and a bottle of bucky and some vodka. But no, I wasn't on drugs. They went, you're on drugs. And I went, no, I'm not. What makes you think I'm on drugs? You were threatening police officers. No, I wasn't. No, I was not. That never happened. They strip searched me, fucking pinned me to the floor, stripped me naked. I embarrassed a lot of them. Bet I gave a lot of them a complex. This is the one time I will do it. I will do it if it means I'm allowed to dunk on police officers, right? The one time, right? That was that. I get pinned to the floor and fucking stripped. They fucking ripped my clothes off me and everything so that they could fucking check my arse for fucking drugs. All over some made up bullshit because a police officer tried to act the big man and I laughed at him and says, what you gonna do? Under this law, as soon as he tried to grab me and handcuff me, I would have been able to knock the utter fucking shit out of him. Because he was not enforcing the law. He was enforcing his little fucking pride that I hurt because he was a wee fucking short man. Fucking, he looked like he was out for fucking Halloween with his wee uniform on. And oh, stupid wee boy. I mean, he was clearly older than me, but he's a stupid wee boy and all that. But yeah, like that's the problem with police. See if you piss them off in any way. And this is the thing is, see, even if you are completely within your rights and you can sit there going, you can't search my car, you can't search my house, you can't search me, I've done nothing wrong, I know right now that I'm totally free to go, they will make something up. They will say you said something, or he reached for his back pocket or something like that, even though you were probably just going to grab your vape just so that you could Frank Hassel in his face or something like that. They will make something up. And that's why a lot of interactions with the police are fucking dangerous, right? There are so many people, especially in America, that are in prison right now because they got one up on a police officer and the police officer just made something up. And then people are more likely to resist when they know for a fact they've done nothing wrong. And then you get resisting arrest, assaulting the police officer, blah, 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 blah. And now you actually do have charges that you handed to them because they got you riled up over something they made up. And that's just the way a lot of, not a hashtag not all, some of them are all right, you know, some of them, I just wish they'd go back to their own country. You know, but you know what I mean? Not all police are bad. Like, one thing that I'm definitely not going to do is, like, you may understand that I am not very, very fond of police. They are literally the authoritarian wing of the government, and they arrest people for posting mean tweets while completely ignoring, you know, child rape and stuff like that. So I don't like police. I'm not fans of them. Hashtag not all. But don't do that to your kids, though. Don't teach like little children police are bad. Oh, police are dodgy. Oh, no, I'm gonna tell my kids police are fucking brilliant. Police are lovely. Go to the police all the time when they're little kids, right? Because obviously, if they get lost and I've fucking filled their head with that shit, and they see a police officer, instead of going to the police officer and going, I'm lost or I'm in trouble, they're going to avoid them. That's bad. You definitely do not want that. So when the little kids tell them that police officers are amazing, etc., blah blah blah, and then when they reach about 14, 15, 16, the ages where they might start to get in a little bit of trouble, that's when you sit them down and have the talk. Sit down and have the talk. What do you mean, Dad? Oh, come on, Dad. I learn about the birds and the bees in school. No, not that talk. A much more important talk. When they arrest you, you don't say a thing. You don't say a word. You confirm your name and address and nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. And you wait until Daddy gets down to the police station with his lawyer.